Hello. Close. Close. I felt like it was coming, to be honest with you. Sitting there watching that, I thought for sure they were going to get it. And then Stone had the couple of passes. And the second one, I'm like, oh, definitely that one's getting through. It's just whether or not uh, Pablo's going to get this thing on net. Now, granted, they have to work on the fact that like that pass is so obvious, but that's neither here nor there. The biggest piece of today, and I want to talk about both games, but the biggest piece of today is don't fall down by 4. Don't get shit pumped for the first half of the game and then turn it up. Like they're on the back to back with travel too. I'm pretty sure they came from Minnesota yesterday, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So they came even farther than the Golden Knights came. Like you cannot get run out of the building early in these games. And without Eichel, without Theodore, it has gone a different way than it went with those guys, which with those guys, they were giving up the first goal and then kind of finding a way to stick around in these games and stay there. And the power play gets them back in or ties it or keeps it close or whatever. And then whack, they're back in it, they tie it, and we're there, right? And we end up with all these 1-goal games. We end up with all the overtimes without Eichel and Theodore in the last 2 games in particular. And New Jersey's tough because when you look at what New Jersey had in that game, probably don't want to lose that one. And looking back, Golden Knights probably really feel like they would have liked to have gotten that one. And now looking forward, what it's going to look like without Eichel and Theodore for a little bit here. We don't know exactly how long it's going to be, but we did hear week to week on Theodore. So that's probably usually that's at least a month. Uh, Olympics were supposed to be okay, so I guess by the end of January, and then that's potentially when Hill's back. I don't know what's going on with Carlson, and I don't know what necessarily is going on with Eichel, but without them, these leads have built like they've gone up. They've given up another one and another one and another one, and they weren't able to get the power play goal to stop the bleeding early enough in this game. But like to then turn it around and all of a sudden play the same way that they've played in a lot of these third periods, the same way they played in the third period against the Ducks when they came back in that game back way back when. Against Chicago, they came back like this. Against the Rangers, they came back. Islanders, they came back. There's been a lot of these. And that third period game that they've been able to get to has been awesome. So it's like, how do you get to that? But part of that's tough to deal with is the fact of the matter of what the score says matters. And the fact that you're down 4 and now you start dominating, well, that's not really useful. It is in this particular game. It would have been if they would have been able to get a point back, and that would have been great. But this is a better team. And when you play a better team, and Calgary was not, and they still didn't get it, playing a better team, you can't allow yourself to get in any hole, let alone a 4-goal hole. So, like, yes, I do want to sit here and say what occurred in the back end of this game was excellent. Marner really had his probably one of his most like dominant games. Like I understand that it didn't end up coming off and it comes after they're down by so much, which we have to deal with, but like that's more like it. He's everywhere in the offensive zone. He's generating plays constantly. He's getting pucks on goal. Like he's doing the things that you want your $12 million player to do. And so that was definitely good to see. Going to that top line of Marner, Hurdle, and Stone, something I kind of thought we might see as this game went on. That seemed to work out pretty well. And they were excellent down the stretch there. But bottom 6 continues to be basically nothing. And I understand that with 3 players out or 2 forwards, significant forwards out, that makes it tricky. But you have to get more out of your bottom 6. Like they need a goal. Can we have a goal? Someone. Like I guess Smith got the one yesterday, but he's playing with Stone. So it doesn't even really count. Like they need something out of those players. And it just has not happened. And the bigger part is like when you look at now 6 periods played in Alberta, and it's why I did my favorite thing. Everybody loves nighttime or talk night. People like the talk night one, 2 night with the K in there. So I did nightmare. I think maybe I should have made the N smaller. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't know. But now it's night. Either way, I did that because 5 periods out of 6 shit. Like, and shit probably doesn't even say enough. Like, that's stinky shit, right? Like, it was terrible for 5 periods. Well, 4 plus. I don't think the Calgary comeback, quote unquote, was as good as what maybe they kind of were trying to pump it up to be. And then the momentum of that disappears completely heading into this game today. But for the most part, falling into 4 goal holes in back-to-back games with 2 different goalies against 2 different teams in much different positions of where they're at, how they're playing, what they're doing. They're on the back-to-back as well. Like, it's not good enough. It can't be. It's not even close to good enough. And now the Golden Knights have 16 wins and 18 losses. I know people get mad at me. I've seen it. People get mad at me. Don't talk about that. It's not that. It is that, though. It is that. They have won only 16 games. And one of the questions I ask for questions is, should it be a concern that the Buffalo Sabres have more wins than the Golden Knights? Yes, absolutely it should be a concern. Because you don't win cups when you can't beat teams consistently. And they're not beating teams consistently. They're, in fact, losing more than half of their games. So that is an issue. Could it be different with overtimes? Yes. Would it be different if it were 5-on-5 overtimes? I don't know. They're not good when it's tied. So to sit there and say, like, oh, well, if all these games were played at 5-on-5 and playoff overtime, that's probably wrong, especially when most of the games were against non-playoff teams. Most of the overtime games have been teams on the outside of the playoff picture. I'd have to go back and look at all of them, but I think it's more than 7 of the 14. And then you get to these 2 games, and when it's tied, they're getting blasted. And that is an issue that has to be looked at. And there's a bunch of questions. I'll try to get to as many as I can about, the overall sense of where we're at. If you don't want to spend too much time on 2 games in late December, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, especially with the injuries that the Golden Knights have. But when you look at the standings, it's not as clean as it probably should look for a team that should be farther along if they're going to be a cup contender. I don't think we can say that they are at this moment, especially tonight. It's hard to say that at this moment. That can change. Health can change that. Different things can change that. We will see. But to this point, the number one main problem that has to be fixed is at 5-on-5, at tie game, especially at 5-on-5. It's not good enough. And it's arguably not even close. And it's been getting worse, not better. The entire road trip, not this one, the previous one. And I did a video after that one, and I said I didn't understand it, and I didn't like the process and all of that. And now all of a sudden, I know Eichel and Theodore are out, but all of a sudden, they've lost 3 games since then, which does not surprise me all that much because they were not playing well. And when you are in a position where when the game is tied, you are second best every single night, no matter the opponent. We talked about coin flips. They play coin flip games over and over and over again. Well, guess what? The last 2 haven't been. This one was not a coin flip. This one was hoping and praying that they could overcome something they've never overcome before. The last one was never in the game. So the problem is, when tied, when 5-on-5, they're not doing well enough. It's offense, it's defense, it's goaltending, all of them. I don't think it's probably in that order, I would say, and goaltending being the bottom of that for sure, just not really mattering all that much. And I know people want to make it a big deal. Oh, the goalies are great, the goalies stink, whatever. It's neither. It's neither. It's been neither. It will continue to be neither because none of the goalies the Golden Knights have are exceptional. None of them are terrible. None of them are exceptional. So it's not going to matter. I've said this 1,000 times. I'll continue to say it 1,000 times. It's going to be a broken record for me, but that's where I'm at on that. Now, the question is why? Why, when the game is tied, when they're playing 5-on-5, can they not figure it out? I think there's a lot of different potential reasons for it. There are potential answers to it. I don't know that we are going to get to the bottom of it and say, that's it, fix that, and it'll get better. Now, I do think it's very clear to say if Jack Eichel's in the game, they're better. That's not hard to see. If anyone's ever wondered who's the most important player on the Golden Knights, who's the Hart Trophy candidate on the Golden Knights, it is abundantly clear it is 9, right? That's who it is. There's no debate there. When he's not in, they're not as good, and they're arguably not even close to as good. That alone can and will fix it when he comes back. When that is, I don't know. So whenever that happens, that's going to fix a portion of it. However, they are the 29th ranked team in the NHL before tonight's game. So that may change. I don't know. NHL.com is broken, so I can't see it. I can't even do horology because NHL.com is broken, and therefore I don't know when the other goals came in. So that's annoying. Maybe we'll be able to do that later today. But before tonight's game, they were 29th in the league in time spent leading. 29th. That is atrocious. They're not even close to league average, let alone where you must be to be a Stanley Cup winner in the last 10 years, which is in the top 10. That is a major problem. First off, I think the biggest piece of it is kind of I don't know, twofold, yin yang. I don't know what you want to call it. Here's what it is. Defensively, they have to stay focused on being solid, structured, good gaps, killing plays quickly, but doing them in the right way, not taking a ton of risks, not overdoing it in their own zone to get pucks. Wow, I was trying to say pucks and passes, and I failed miserably. Trying to get pucks out, and therefore you're not seeing a lot of stretch pass transition chances. You're not seeing much by way of breakaways. You're very rarely seeing that puck off the glass into the middle, bounce it up, and they get a quick 2-on-1 out of that, where it's not even the team making a mistake on the other side. It's just a well-executed play by the Golden Knights. That's not really happening. They're trying to make sure that they are solid defensively. And for the most part, it's happening. They've been solid defensively. But it's limiting Theodore. It's limiting Hanifin. It's limiting anyone else. And I don't think there's a ton of extra offense in the lineup. Hutton, Lazan, Korzak, White Cloud, whichever ones you want to go with. I don't, McNabb, again, don't think there's a ton of extra offense. So that now falls all on the forward group. They have to do all of it. Every once in a while, you'll get a guy jumping up into the rush. Every once in a while, you'll get the perfect exit. Every once in a while, you'll get the stretch pass. But it's few and far between. And to be honest, to expect it inside of any particular game even once is unrealistic. It doesn't actually happen even once in each game. So that is step one, which is that is muting the offense. Now, the offense has to then take over. You've got to find a way to get these players to take over. And the challenge there has been exactly what we've been concerned about for quite a while, which is they don't like to shoot. They like to try to find perfect opportunities. So they're doing fine getting the puck in. They're doing fine with the decision making of when to dump it in deep, when to try to carry it along the line. They're doing fine in puck retrieval. I don't think most of it has even been all that bad. They are probably beating most teams in possession. We usually look at shot attempts for possession. Again, NHL.com is down, so I can't look at it at the moment, but I'm pretty sure, because I've looked recently, they are plus in Corsi, plus in Fenwick, plus in shot share, plus in expected goal share. All of that indicates they have the puck more often than the other team, and this is not a small sample size at this point. So what's going wrong? What do they need to do? What has to happen? I will tell you after I tell you that this Periscope and all Periscopes are brought to you by the Jimmerson Law Firm. Jimmerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas' preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. What's going wrong is that the entire group is having a hard time stacking shifts together, stacking long offensive periods together, like having a good shift that then the next line comes on and they have a good shift, the next line comes in and they have a good shift. And you start to wear on teams, you wear on the goalie, you wear on their willingness to make the right play. Instead, they get a little lazy, they get a little tired. And that's where the mistakes come in. You're not seeing teams making horrendous mistakes in their own end as we are typically used to, which is what ends up being the reason why these teams score. That's usually how it goes. So that's not happening. Individually, there are issues basically all the way outside of maybe Mark Stone and Jack Eichel. Like Marner not scoring enough goals today, much better. We'll take that, but not scoring enough goals for being the style of player that he is. Hurdle not getting in front enough. He's done fine getting the puck back, passing it off to Pavel, getting these opportunities, not really doing enough damage directly in front of the goal, which is where he needs to be impactful. Part of that is also the centers are concerned with defensive solidity, which is why they're often farther up the offensive zone, not in the most dangerous area, because they're concerned about defending as well, because they know they should be more of an offensive minded team than a defensive minded team, considering the players. That being said, the coach's system demands defense. That's usually how you win. That is how Cassidy has won. That is probably why they've played 22 one-goal games despite struggling to score. So to sit there and say that's a problem, I would say it is not. Next, keep going. Dorofeev not scoring at 5-on-5 at all, doesn't really pass. I've talked about that on the podcast. That is an issue. That is just a stylistic play issue. They need to go in. If he's going to shoot it every single time he gets it or funnel it back up to the top, they need to go in. And when he funnels it back up to the point, Hurdle's not in front. So that's not all that helpful. Saad, Smith has been better on this trip, but Saad, Smith, Sissons, Kolazar, Reinhart, once in a blue moon, please. Smith, you're off the hook for a second. He was able to get that goal, so his once in a blue moon did come. Once in a blue moon, it's got to be there. Same thing goes to the defenseman. It's happening a little, but not enough, right? Barbashev doing more in the offensive zone, but not really there to finish these opportunities. Are they drawing enough penalties? Today, yes. Overall, probably not. If you're going to be a team that relies on your power play, you got to draw more penalties. That's also not happening. So it's like waves of offense not happening, individual errors or individual not playing up to where it absolutely needs to be a good dominant team like some of the other ones we've seen, like two of the ones we're about to see coming up at home, Minnesota and Colorado. That's where I think the 5-on-5 scoring isn't there, and therefore what's occurring is these teams are coming in fresh, these teams are getting good opportunities, and they're finding ways to get that first goal. And even though the Golden Knights scored the first goal, and I think it was 5 straight not too long ago, and won some of those games, but not all of them, they were almost always trailing in the third period and needing a late goal to come back, and then it was very close coin flip games. They've got to find a way to get to that, to get to the execution that was there at the back end of this game faster. It has to happen. And it just hasn't happened to this point. So let's take some of the questions. I'll take this one first. Would you say this roster is poorly constructed? Without Shea Theodore and Jack Eichel and William Karlsson, yes, but that's not really fair, right? Unrealistic to be without your top 3 players. I think I'm still in the evaluation phase of that. I think Marner is still trying to kind of find his way with the new team, with where is he going to fit in? How does his offense come? How does it work at 5-on-5? I think on the power play, he's figuring it out, and it's happened pretty quick, and that's why I think he has as many points as he has. At 5-on-5, they're still kind of trying to figure it out. Bits and pieces happen, and they get there. Does that mean that's going to generate goals in the playoffs? That's where the answer to that question is going to come in. Looking at it at the moment, I would say it's probably not, because they just don't have scorers. When you look up and down the roster, they do not have, I guess you can argue, maybe Pavel. And really, that's one time that we've seen it. He's on his way to doing it again. So maybe. They have one guy who's usually a 30-goal scorer. And by usually, I mean he's done it once in his career. Maybe that will happen moving forward. Maybe he is that guy. I'm starting to have questions. We'll see. But they don't have scorers. Eichel is not a 30-goal scorer. Hurdle, Stone, Marner, Karlsson, Smith, Barbashev. They're not 30-goal scorers consistently. They don't have the Jonathan Marchessault, the Max Pacioretty, those types of players. And for a while there, they had both of those guys. They don't have the guys that find goals. that are just seek out the goals. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Now I know those two guys are special, but they don't have that. So that's where I'm at. I'm wondering, like, is the roster built the proper way? I don't know. I'm not there to say no yet, but I am pretty close to say it's looking like it's not. We will see. All right, let's get some of the other ones. Why was there no response when Draisaitl slash Hurdle? Everyone skated back nonchalantly to the bench. That never used to happen. Yeah, so this is an interesting one because you also have Schmid getting run over yesterday and effectively no response. It was after a goal, and I think maybe they thought they were getting a power play, so they didn't want to respond there. But even then, beyond that, wasn't much there. Nobody fought Klapka. Nobody's fighting Draisaitl today. Nobody's going after Draisaitl. I think at the moment, they're still trying to figure out how do we play good hockey. And dealing with that is like, we can't even think about that at the moment because we need to play better. That's what I think's happening. I think you do have some of the people who did it missing. Alex Pietrangelo, Nick Hague. Those are two of the guys that did do it. Kolazar's not on the ice all that often. Lazan's trying to figure out how to not be in the penalty box every single game. It's unbelievable. Every single game he's in the box. Like, that has got to stop. But he can't really step up for it because he can't keep doing what he's doing. So why are they not reacting? I think the answer is they're missing some of the guys that do it. And beyond that, they're still trying to figure out how do we play good enough hockey so that we can then deal with that problem. We can then figure that out. All right, what else we got here? What exactly is this team? What are they wanting to be, and why can't they or aren't they doing that and playing that way? So I think my opinion on what they're supposed to be has shifted. When this season began, before the season began, they were coming in as like a top 5 scoring team. They had lost their number one defenseman, but kind of like a minute eater guy, not necessarily dominant offensively. He had been in his past, but wasn't really for the Golden Knights, at least recently. What does missing him do? But Hanifin, Theodore stepping into a slightly bigger role. I think Korczak can bring a little bit of offense. Marner now in the lineup, probably going to bring a little bit more offense. Can Marner unlock Eichel's offense a little bit more? Like, I thought offense. I thought this team is going to be able to score whenever they want. That's not been the case. And I think I'm done thinking that. 33, 4, 3, whatever it is, games through. I think I'm done thinking that. I just don't know that I believe that at this point anymore. Instead, I think what they are becoming is defensively solid. That probably needs to improve a little bit as we move forward, but for the most part, it's been good enough. So I think that's fine. Defensively solid, and then able to get great shifts here and there for different players, and the power play and penalty kill are excellent. So special teams is very good. We'll beat you on special teams. We're going to keep the game close. They're very good at coming back. They're very good at never really being out of games, despite being out of the game last night, but not tonight. To down 4, find a way back in it. So that's kind of what I feel like where they're at. Thanks for this. Appreciate that one. Why aren't they there? I think I'd go back to what I was saying before. I think it's kind of the same concept. Like, they've got to find ways to score. You can't be the 30th best 5-on-5 scoring team for a month plus. Like, it can't be the case. Like, it's I guess not quite a month. That's what it is since Thanksgiving, since Black Friday, where they lost on Black Friday. Like, it's got to be better than that. You've got all these highly paid players. Now, that was what was, be honest, that was kind of bugging me today. Like, I know 2 crucial guys are out. I get it. And I'm not trying to undersell that and say like that doesn't matter, because it does matter. And you could take that out of last game or out of this game, but the overall team throughout the whole season, they aren't finding ways to get the offense and get the consistency of offense at 5-on-5 with their best players. Like today, Mitch Marner's in the lineup. He ends up doing it as we move on. So good on that. I do need to give him credit for that. But like before it was 4-0, where is the offense from Mark Stone, Mitch Marner, Tomas Hertl, Noah Hannafin? Like these are highly paid players who have done it for a long time in the league, and it just wasn't happening. It just isn't happening. And that's where that was frustrating me. Then it did. Then all of a sudden it did happen. And we go from there. When does Eichel come back? I don't know. He was called day to day. There was the illness. He left practice with the illness. I don't think it has anything to do with the illness anymore. He is injured. He is absolutely injured. So we're at day to day right now. I'm hearing different things. Some of it's like it's going to be a month plus, possibly longer than that. Other is saying like they don't know for sure yet, and they're still trying to figure out if maybe it won't be. So that's kind of where I'm hearing on that. It's not. I understand that's not very good information. I get that, but I'm hoping it's a little bit more than day to day. We'll check when he gets back, which is what we've gotten from Cassidy, who, by the way, is getting terrible on injury updates. I don't know what's going on. 4th season in charge, and it's getting horrible. I mean, it's either flat out lies at different times, maintenance data out for months, which is what we just had for Theodore, or it's just purposely not accurate or misleading or short or whatever. Yeah, that's frustrating me. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know when Eichel's going to come back. Thoughts on Lazan getting a penalty every night? Yeah, it's got to stop. It has to stop. I do think Cassidy likes him. Yeah, thanks, Kat. Appreciate that. Happy holidays to everybody else as well. We do have a game before that, so we're there. And then we got, the other holiday afterwards, and we have the New Year's Eve game. I always like that game. That's fun. But I always feel like, oh, I got to get out of here because they're about to shut the strip down, and then I get all nervous. Yeah, it's got to stop for Lazan. I think he's higher on the depth chart in Bruce Cassidy's eyes, or maybe it's John Stevens' eyes, I don't know, than most fans, probably myself included. So I don't think he's coming out anytime soon, but with him and Hutton in the lineup at the same time, you're seeing more out of Hutton than you are Lazan. Now, Lazan's been playing the wrong side, so that has to be considered as well. You're asking somebody to play out of position, and if he's the one playing out of position, makes it a little harder on him. But yeah, it's got to fix. Are we ever going to see Holtz? Probably not. I just think Cassidy does not have any trust in Alex Holtz, like at all. So he's used in the absolute last pinch that they have to get. And that's that. Do I feel like there will be any kind of roster move coming? I do not. And I would not. And that kind of goes along with, there was another one. Oh, what are your top trade targets? And do you think some younger players should come up? I'll answer all three of those kind of at the same time. On the trade front, as of right now, I will reiterate, the Golden Knights have won 16 times and lost 18 times. I understand they are at or near first place. I get it. I think they're not in first place anymore because the Ducks won last night. Either way, they're right there. The points percentage say they're good. The play on the ice, the process, the overall sense of it doesn't say they're that good. If you compare that against the 3 best teams in the conference, which all happen to be in the other division, which is nice, but if you compare it against those 3 teams, and maybe even the team they lost to tonight, it's probably not good enough. So to sit there and try to fix it immediately when the holes are kind of confusing. It's like, do they need scoring? Well, that's confusing because we spent all the money on scoring in the first place. What was Hertl? What was Hannafin? What was Marner? Right? Like that was all scoring. That was the plan. That's the idea. It's not happening. So do they need more defense? I don't think so, but maybe does it look different if there's another Braden McNabb? I think it's too early still, weirdly, to say that. You need more information. You need more information about whether this team's legitimately a cup contender and deserves getting more assets thrown at them. Because, again, pipeline, not very good. Braden Bowman came up. He's been pretty good. That's nice. That's an undrafted free agent. Need more of those. That would be excellent. But other than that, it's basically Connolly. Maybe there's some Lucas Cormier in there that he can come up. We'll see. The other question was like, why not bring up some of the young guys and quote, see what you have. I see that a lot. See what you have. Because they know what they have. Why do you think Braden Bowman came up and got stuck right into the top 6 and onto the power play? Because they know what they have. And that's why he was able to succeed. They're looking at the rest of them and they know what they have. They know Tanner Lazinski's not going to be better than Ivan Barbashev or Mitch Marner at center on the top line. It's just not going to happen. So that's why they don't bring these players up. Brabanitz, Uchaz, Demick, whoever, Hemmerling. I think they understand. What's the point? What's the point in bringing them up, having them deal with some of the rigors of what NHL play is, and in a position where they're now expected to change things? It's just unrealistic. So to me, do they make a trade? Yeah, eventually, probably. If they stay in contention, you're probably going to want to look at it. But is it big time move? Probably not. First round pick they do not have this season. There's a lot of money wrapped up in a lot of people. And I know people want to do the Hill thing. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, you could get rid of Aiden Hill and get yourself $6.5 million, but I don't think it's going to happen. He's pretty new on the contract. I just don't see it happening. What can be done to fix the slow starts? Kind of similar to what I was saying before. There is a piece to it also that I haven't really mentioned yet, and that's something that Cassidy spoke to in the past, which is the way they play, the style in which it's very precise, I'll say. The passes on the exits have to be precise, hitting guys with speed across the blue line, crossing the blue line at the perfect time, having guys in the right position on the back door to hit some of these seam passes or hit some of these opportunities. Like, sometimes it takes time. It takes time to figure out to fine tune inside of a game. And I think that's just part of the deal. They're not going to be a fast starting team. I just don't think it's realistic because of the way they play. You have to be on it. The game has to be open for them to be perfectly on it early in these games. And the games are not open anymore. And they're only going to be closed more and more often. There's going to be less and less ice as we go on. As we get into middle of January, late, certainly in March and April. And then if the playoffs come around, that's where it would be nice if they could actually implement what the coach wants. Dump it in. Go play simple. Go forecheck. Get the puck to the front and deal with them, wear them down. Find cheap crap goals early, and then we can start feeling it out and finding some of those plays and start hitting them in transition, hitting them with nice plays, getting all of that. They just don't seem to want to do it. The amount of times I come into a game and think, man, the other team's dumping the puck in a lot. And then I stop to myself and say, wait a minute. Actually, that's because the Golden Knights aren't. The Golden Knights do not like to play dump and chase early in games, even though they're pretty good at it. They can be very good at it, especially when they're healthy, when Jack's in there, when Carlson's in there. They can be very good at it. And that's an easier way to play. If they can play that way, I think it'll be better long term. They've got to start that way, and it just has not happened. Are they going to take Saad out? Well, they have a couple of times, and I think they want to. I think they've gotten to the point with Saad that most of us have gotten to, which is like he's going to pop up in areas to look like he's got opportunities, and it's just not happening. It's been too many games, and there's a reason why he's let go from the Blues a year ago. It's the same situation. It just doesn't really happen. So yeah, I think they want him out of the lineup, but I think they're also aware that guys down the lineup can't move up, and the guys in Henderson can't fill in for the guys who can't move up. And the one healthy scratch right now isn't better. And that's Holtz, or at least they don't believe, Cassidy doesn't believe he's better. Saad's okay defensively. Saad does penalty kill. So that does take some of the weight or pressure off of some of the other top guys. And I also thought that was an issue that we had in this game. Penalties taken with 6 minutes to go. They have an offensive zone time of basically 90 seconds, and Stone's out there the entire time and looked tired. It's a second night of a back-to-back with travel in frigid temperatures. It's not easy. And so now, when you're pushing to try and tie the game, he doesn't have it anymore, or doesn't have it to the level that he had it maybe yesterday or a week ago or earlier in this game. So that's where, okay, let's put up Holt. Well, he ain't penalty killing. So now somebody else has to penalty kill in his spot, probably one of the better players up the lineup. You don't want that. So at least Saad offers that. No question about it. So that's certainly a positive as well. Overall, I'll just wrap it up. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm for sponsoring all Periscopes this season and last season and the season before and the season before that. So that is nice. I think the trip is going to be defined by what happens in the next 4 games. I guess it's already sort of defined by what happened in the first game. I don't expect Eichel or Theodore to play any of the next 4 games. I don't expect them to play. I would be shocked if Theodore does. They already called him week to week. I don't believe a player has ever played inside of 2 weeks when they've been called week to week. The fastest one we've ever had was Alec Martinez. It was like 20 days. Most of them are in the 50 to 60 day range. I don't think this one's going to be quite that long, but we're talking late January, and then he's fine, gets to go to the Olympics. Okay. So it's going to be a minute. I don't think Eichel's playing soon. Maybe that changes. Hopefully that changes. But 4 more games, home games, coming up, good opponents. San Jose, but playing better. More wins than the Golden Knights. Minnesota, Colorado, and then I don't even remember who it was on New Year's Eve. Oh, Nashville. They kind of stink. They've been playing better, but they kind of stink. But without Eichel, without Theodore, can they play simple? Can they learn from what occurred in these 2 games? That you have to find a way to simplify and play that simple, easy road game, even when you're at home. Get through the lines, defensively solid, push the game as far as you can being in it. Coin flips are probably fine now. I was getting sick of it, but without these guys, it's probably fine. If you can get a coin flip against Colorado, awesome. If you can get a coin flip against Minnesota, great. I don't think it's going to, I shouldn't say I don't think it's going to happen. I think it can happen. The way they looked in these 2 games, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But they got to play a different way. They got to come with a different attitude to begin the games. We know it's in there. You just saw it. They almost erased a 4-goal deficit against a team that's back-to-back Western Conference champions and very good and playing better. Shitty goalie, but playing better, right? It's in there. They got to find a way to bring that out. And these games, these 2 here, the one before against a terrible Devils team, or at least the terrible roster that the Devils put out. They're not actually a terrible team, but they were bad that night because the roster was depleted, just as the Golden Knights was. As we go forward, those games, these last 3, I think we're going to be defined by what occurs next. Is it that was difficult? Those were hard road games. That was a hard game coming back after the road trip. Tough situation, weird schedule, all of that. Or is it without Eichel, without Theodore, this is a bad team? That's what it's potentially looking like. And they've got to find a way. You got to beat San Jose. You have to. I know that seems crazy, but like that becomes a significant game because if they don't, Minnesota and Colorado coming up, like those are very, very hard games even to pull a point out of. It's real hard to even get a point out of either of those. If this turns into a 4-game homestand where they get 2 points or worse, less, and it ends up being 6 games in a row with 2 points, you're going to see that the standings really get jammed in a hurry. And that's scary because we're going to have a month coming up in February where you have to stare at whatever it is. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like whatever it is when the Olympic break begins, that's what you have to look at for a while. And that kind of cements what you are for a while. What the Golden Knights have been to this point is a team that's found a way to steal points. And because of it, they've been at the top of the standings basically the entire time. Recently, last 2 games, has not happened. It has to find a way to start happening again. And I think that's getting more contributions from everybody offensively, finding a way to finish some of the chances, continuing to do what they do on the penalty kill and power play, and then finding a way to play an easier, simpler game. Stop looking for perfection because it's not going to come. With the roster that's here, it's not going to happen. So that's it. That's all I got for tonight. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm. Let's see. Podcast. Maybe this week. I don't remember. I can't remember if we did one last week. I don't know We'll figure that one out. I will do a Periscope, probably not after the Sharks game. I guess maybe if the Sharks game is interesting, we might do one. But we'll probably do one after the Colorado game, just because I think that's kind of like a measuring stick type thing, like whatever happens. Plus, I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to predict it. They're going to beat Colorado. I believe they're going to beat Colorado. Like, I really do. I'll leave on that. Good night.